Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerdy Movie News Roundup, the show where we round up all of the latest news in the world of nerdy movies. So, we got some interesting topics to talk about today. One pretty major one, in my opinion. But let's just get into it. Let us not dilly dally, as the kids say these days. Are you serious right now? What? What the? What? Why is it? Wait. Why is the thing not popping up? Okay, wait, is it there now? This is already a disaster. So we have a teaser trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's that came out. For the movie, I should say. I actually think that this looks pretty fun. You know, it doesn't really look scary. But when I really sort of thought of it in the sense of like Five Nights at Freddy's is technically for children, or at the very least, it's a majority of children that consume that play the games and watch like game theory or whatever. So when I realized that really this is gonna be more like a Goosebumps type of thing, then that kind of made me a lot more positive on it. If we really shouldn't think of it in terms of like, oh yeah, this is like the next James Wan horror movie or whatever. But if we think of it as, hey, this is just going to be something that's going to be kind of creepy for children, I think I think through that lens, this actually looks pretty good. So yeah, I'll be pretty excited for this to check this out when it comes out. The one thing that makes me nervous about it is that they're releasing it on Peacock and in theaters at the same time, because of all the times that I remember them doing that, the movies turned out really bad, because I think both the Halloween sequels came out on Peacock at the same time. I think also what was that movie? I think it was like Firestarter or whatever. Let me see. Firestarter. Yeah, this came out on on Peacock at the same time, I believe. With like Zac Efron. 10% score on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's the one thing that makes me nervous about this movie. I'm like, oh no. Or like this might just be a terrible movie, but hopefully not. Okay. Next up we also got a trailer for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning. I think this looks awesome. You know, we got Tom Cruise being a lunatic. That's always fun. I do think that the opening part of this trailer, I think, spends way too much time trying to tell us the plot of the movie. It's like, listen, movie, I don't like you for your personality. I like you because I want to see Tom Cruise risk his life for our entertainment. So, but I mean, then once it gets more into the action, I'm like, yeah, this looks great. I think that ever since Mission Impossible 5, these movies have just been on a complete other level. Like they've been like kind of perfect action movies. So yeah, I'm excited to check this out whenever it comes out. All right, first story of the day. Hellboy. Did you know that there's another reboot coming? But apparently they finished filming it. So this is from the creator of Hellboy. He wrote this on his Instagram. So they've wrapped principal photography on the new Hellboy movie. I wasn't on set for this one, but they have been nice enough to send me dailies, and I have to say, I have loved what I've been seeing. If fans have been waiting for a Hellboy film that is actually an adaptation of one of my stories, I think they are finally going to get one. So yeah, interesting. I can't say I'm that big of a Hellboy fan. Never read the comics. I was never really all that into any of the movies. But I mean, hey, if this turns out to be good, then I'll be interested to see it. Apparently, they're going in a more lower budgeted, more horror focused direction. From what I've read about it, I think this guy, I think it's gonna. What is it gonna be called? The Crook. I think it's gonna be called like the Crooked Man or Hellboy, like or the Crooked Man. And I assume that this character in black and white is the Crooked Man, and he looks really creepy. So I don't know. We'll see if this is any good when it comes out. All right, next story. Venom 3 is going to star Chiwetel Ejiofor. We'll start reading here. According to Deadline, Ejiofor will star opposite Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock / Venom in Venom 3, though no further details regarding his casting were provided. The last Marvel property Ejiofor starred in was the 2022 sequel, Multiverse of Madness, in which he reprised his Marvel Cinematic Universe role as Carl Mordo. So, yeah, we don't... or I should say, I've seen people sort of theorize, like, is Venom 3 going to be a multiverse movie, and is Baron Mordo going to be in it now? I doubt it. I mean, I feel like they they made it pretty clear with the after credit scenes of Venom 2 and No Way Home that Marvel and Sony, they're not all that interested in like explicitly crossing over like their MCU stuff with the Sony Spider-Man movie stuff. I mean, yeah, there was also the after credit scene of Morbius when Michael Keaton's Vulture sort of crossed over. So they did try to tease that, but I don't know. I highly doubt that like the super MCU proper stuff is ever going to cross over with the Venomverse. I mean, Michael Keaton makes a little more sense just because he's already a Spider-Man villain. And they probably didn't have any further plans for him. Although that's also not true because he was also teased at the end of like Spider-Man Homecoming that he was going to come back. So I guess at the end of the day, who really knows? But but I don't know. I my gut is telling me that I don't think they're going to cross over more MCU proper stuff into the Venomverse. I think they're going to try to keep these things separated. Aside from some little teases and after credit scenes. But I could also be totally wrong and he'll show up with his little magic ring stuff and do magic stuff and things. That made sense. All right, next story. We got some set photos from Captain America 4. So here we have Anthony Mackie. We got to look at the new suit. I think it looks pretty good. I mean, it very much, like, when you look at the change from Falcon and the Winter Soldier to this new Captain America 4, I feel like it's very much like the change between the first Avengers movie and Winter Soldier. The suit looks a little more, like, tactical and whatnot. So I don't know. We'll obviously have to see how it looks, like, properly in the context of the movie. And then here we have some look at what I assume are the villains. Apparently that guy is like Seth Rollins or whatever, and he's supposed to be like a WWE wrestler. I don't know him, but people were excited to see him. And then yeah, so I'm pretty sure these two characters are villains, but I honestly we don't really know for sure. And then we also have some other set photos. Yeah, here we have we get to look at the backside of Anthony Mackie's new costume. So it looks like he has like red boots or whatever. Then the guy on the top right is supposed to be like the new Falcon, which if you remember in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, this guy, let me look him up. You'll probably know him when you see him. Danny Ramirez. Yeah, see this dude? Apparently he's going to be like the new sidekick character. And he's going to have the official title of the Falcon. So yeah, I think most of these costumes look decent, but I'm also never really that big of a costume guy. Like, I'll see people on Twitter like hardcore debating on like, oh, this costume sucks or oh, this costume is amazing, and I'm just like, I don't know. It looks fine. It looks fine to me. I don't get to invest in costumes. But okay, next story. So Marvel tweeted out that a new season of Loki, so that's Loki Season 2, starts streaming October 6th of 2023. And then they said that all episodes of Echo drop November 29th of 2023. That is not good news, in my opinion. So, sure, new season of Loki, it starts streaming. But what I don't think is good news is that all episodes of Echo are dropping on November 29th. Now, the reason I say that is because this tells me that Marvel is not they are not confident in what they have in Echo, because I mean it's been proven that if you release episodes on a week by week basis, word of mouth is going to build. If you have a good show, word of mouth is going to build. People are just going to be talking about it all the time, and viewership is going to go up. But I think Marvel and Disney in general, they have been on the opposite side of that spectrum, where you look at a show like Book of Boba Fett, that show was getting trashed for like 6 weeks, right? The 6 weeks that it was airing. She-Hulk, that was getting demolished for like 9 weeks. I think that show had like a 9 episode count. And something tells me with the reason why they're dropping all the episodes of Echo at once is that this show's not going to be great, and they don't want to go through that again. I mean, listen, I could be wrong. Maybe if I'm playing the devil's advocate or whatever, maybe they just like they're just like, oh man, this story doesn't really work watching it on a week by week basis. It really works more if you consume it all at once. Maybe that's the case, because I mean, I do think it's been the case that a lot of these Disney Plus shows like Hawkeye and I don't know, like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, maybe like a lot of these kind of feel like they kind of feel like overextended movies that were divided up into 6 episodes. I think especially something like Obi-Wan, like probably should have just been made a movie. Like I think that's been a criticism that we've had for a lot of these Disney Plus shows, 6-episode Disney Plus shows especially. So maybe they're just like, let's just let people binge it. But no, I am inclined to believe that they're just not confident in it. But we will see how it ends up playing out. Next up, we got the Penguin show. Was shut down for a day by the WGA strikers. So it's this is probably something that's probably going to keep on happening. It doesn't seem like any of these strikes have like really hurt any show too badly. It looks like obviously they're just trying to like poke at the bear, a little bit everywhere they can. Right, by like shutting down multiple shows, that is just going to just inconvenience these studios enough to hopefully get them back to the table to continue negotiations. So good on them, I guess. All right, next up. This Wednesday, there is going to be a PlayStation showcase. So this is going to be pretty big. I mean, I'm expecting some pretty big stuff. Stuff that I think for sure will be there. I think we will see Marvel's Spider-Man 2, right? Because apparently that's still supposed to come out this year, and we have heard literally nothing about it, right? They've only had that one like cinematic thing where you heard Kraven's voice and you saw Venom for a brief second. So I mean, they have to give us gameplay. At this point, their next thing can't just be another cinematic thing. Like, I think it's a pretty surefire thing that we are going to get like gameplay and a big just demonstration of the game. So that's obviously the thing that I'm going to be most excited about to see at the PlayStation thing. I feel like we have to see like Last of Us Factions as well, which is the Last of Us multiplayer game that's supposed to be coming out. I think I feel like they have to like show it off, tell us exactly what it is. Like what can we expect from it? Like if you're more into Naughty Dog games for like the story and all of that, like are you gonna actually get that here, or is it just gonna be a multiplayer suite? And I think there's just a lot of stuff about PlayStation that we just don't know about that we can hear from. I mean, like the Ghost of Tsushima people, what are they doing? Well, obviously they're going to be doing a Ghost of Tsushima 2, but maybe we're going to hear some of that. The Blue Point, right? Those are the guys that they did the Shadow of the Colossus remake as well as the Demon Souls remake. What are those guys doing, right? There have been rumors that maybe they're remaking Metal Gear Solid 3. Are they working on their own original game? Are they remaking Bloodborne? Some people have been kind of hoping for that. We have no idea what they're doing, right? The guys who made God of War, there are rumors of maybe they're gonna come out with like an original game. Like there's just a lot of stuff in PlayStation that are like they've just been very silent about a lot of stuff, and I feel like now is when the bubble is gonna burst, And we're just going to get a whole bunch of new information. So keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on the show. I think it's going to be really big. Also, maybe we'll see something from that Wolverine game that they teased. Maybe not, because that game is probably like way out into the future. But maybe. Okay. Next story. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom breaks 10 million sales in the first 3 days. So this game came out last Friday, and in 3 days, this thing sold 10 million units worldwide. That's insane. So to put it into context, right? The big game of the year, right? The highest selling game of this year, right, of 2023 was Hogwarts Legacy, and it says here, The Legend of Zelda The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom made a fast start at UK retail, comfortably achieving the biggest boxed launch of any game in 2023. According to figures from market research firm GfK, the title sold 54% higher than Hogwarts Legacy, the best-selling game of the year so far. That's wild. I mean, yeah, like we've been talking about how big Hogwarts Legacy was, and at least in the UK, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom sold 54% more. I assume it's relative in the first 3 days. So yeah, I've been playing the game. It is just it's amazing. It really is an amazing game. It's some of like I'm a little overwhelmed by it just because of just how much there is to do, but I have been just having such a good time like chipping away at it every chance that I get. Like when I'm done recording this show, I'm probably going to play a little bit more of it. It truly is wonderful. And yeah, I am not surprised that it sold this much. And yeah, last week I believe we talked about the producer of The Legend of Zelda. He was being a little bit coy of like, oh, I would be interested in making a Zelda movie, but unfortunately I don't make those decisions. Blah 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 blah. Yeah, obviously they're gonna make a Zelda movie, right? With the success of the Mario movie, with the insane success of Tears of the Kingdom, we are going to get a Zelda movie. I just, man, don't let Illumination make the Zelda movie. I get it. They just made you $1 billion, but can we just not? Can we get like? I mean, obviously the dream would be like Studio Ghibli to make a Zelda movie. I wouldn't even mind seeing Laika Studios make a Zelda movie. I think let me see. Let me just make sure I'm right about that. But I believe Laika is the studio that made Kubo and the Two Strings, right? Laika. Let's see. Oh yeah, they made Kubo and the Two Strings. Coraline. These guys are pretty goated, I would say. I would love to. I wouldn't mind seeing them make a Zelda movie, but just please don't let Illumination make the Zelda movie. I don't want to hear I need a hero playing during the Zelda movie. Can we just not have that? Would that be would that be okay? Although I would say Zelda is a Nintendo franchise that could also work in live action. Maybe I don't know. Okay, we'll have to see what happens there. Next story. One of the directors of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse addresses its MCU canonicity. Okay. We'll start reading here. Explaining the multiverse to Miles in the trailer, Oscar Isaac's Miguel O'Hara, aka Spider-Man 2099, takes a dig at No Way Home's universe-jumping shenanigans, saying, and don't even get me started on Doctor Strange and that little nerd on Earth, 199999, whatever. I think remember that quote from the trailer. And when we heard that, a lot of us were like, oh my gosh, it's connecting it to the MCU. But we'll continue reading here. Speaking to SFX for the latest issue, co-director Kemp Powers said the new movie is not connected to the MCU, and that the joke is a tongue-in-cheek way of acknowledging the history of the character. The world of Miles Morales in Spider-Verse, it's not tied into the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anything like that, Powers explained, but this is a Lord and Miller film. We like to have a little bit of fun. We like to be a little bit meta and to acknowledge the world in which we are creating these stories. That's the best way to explain it. So, according to the director here, he is making the claim that it's not actually in the MCU and it's just a little tongue-in-cheek joke. I don't know if I believe him, because that's a pretty overt tongue-in-cheek joke. But that is what he's saying. I mean, listen, I hope that that's the case, because I'm getting a little sick of just, like, everything needing to be connected and needing to be in the same cinematic universe. It's like, we can have things that exist in their own universe. Like, you know, we can have more Jokers and more the Batmans that just don't connect to anything. It's fine for these things to exist. Like, I'm already not all that happy about the fact that the PS4 Spider-Man is in the movie, because I'm like, one of the things that I really loved about the PS4 Spider-Man is that he was in his own little universe. Him and that version of Miles are like in their own universe. I just don't need them to cross over with anybody else. But we shall see if that actually ends up being true. All right, next up, a bit of an interesting thing here. So it looks like Paramount Plus and Showtime are going to integrate. What does it say when it'll happen? Yep, it says here, per Apple Insider, Apple TV has informed current subscribers that Showtime will be fully integrated into Paramount Plus on or around Tuesday, June 27th. The new service will be simply called Paramount Plus with Showtime. As its name implies, the revamped streaming platform will offer all Paramount Plus and Showtime content under one roof. I think this makes a lot of sense. I don't know literally anybody that has Showtime. So yeah, I mean, if there's some good content on there and it's that brand is just not strong in any way, yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense to just wrap it all into one. Okay, next story. We got some interesting information on Batman in the DCU. Let's see. So someone tweeted at James Gunn, "My nerdy little heart would like to know how old the DCU Batman will be when we get Brave and the Bold, assuming that's the first time we meet him." Then James Gunn says, "We haven't cast him yet, so we have no clue." So, yeah, interesting. According to James Gunn, they still don't actually know how old the new Batman is going to be. I mean, we know that he has to be, like, at least 35, I would say. Because if he's going to have Damian Wayne. So, yeah, like, if he's going to have, like, a 11, 12, 13-year-old son, like, he'll have to be on the older side of things. I actually think that we'll probably end up getting, like a 14, 15, 16-year-old Damian Wayne as well. Just because I think it's... I don't know. I'm still of the opinion, I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, that having a child Robin would just be weird. Like, I think you're pushing it with, like, a 14, 15, 16-year-old, like, Damian Wayne. But, like, I don't know that we're going to get, like, a 10, 11-year-old Damian Wayne. I think that would just be weird. But yeah, we'll have to see what actually ends up happening. But according to James Gunn, they have no idea yet, which I don't know if I believe. Okay. Next story. Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Aubrey Plaza put out a little teasing something here. So on her Instagram, she took a picture of something. I'm not even sure what this is, but it says Marvel Studios The Darkhold Diaries. So apparently this image here is kind of doing a little riff on the logo for the Princess Diaries. I probably should have looked at it earlier. I can't type. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. The Princess Diaries. Just look at the logo here. Let's see. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that the title treatment being similar. Yeah, it definitely is actually. So yeah, it looks like it looks like Agatha, Coven of Chaos is going to sort of continue that motif from WandaVision of, you know, sort of parodying different, like, TV shows and whatnot. Oops. Hopefully this doesn't mess up. Well, this froze here, but the stream is probably okay. Okay. Yeah. yeah, so it looks like they're gonna continue that little gimmick here. But yeah, it looks like Agatha Coven of Chaos is gonna go sort of beyond just the sitcom, and it looks like they're just gonna parody like specific movies and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about this because while yes, I did love the whole sitcom thing in WandaVision, I also feel like Agatha Coven of Chaos already just feels like a show that they're making because of how popular Catherine Hahn's character was, not necessarily because it's a show that they always planned on making. And the fact that they're just doing the whole TV show parody thing again, that feels even more forced. I don't know, man. Like as much as I love Catherine Hahn, don't get me wrong. We will be watching the show. Don't get me wrong, but like this whole I kind of wish they would have just done their own thing. I don't know. Well, obviously this is very like early on information, so we obviously have to wait until we get a trailer and all of that. But I'm not too jazzed on what I'm seeing from this, but we shall see. All right, next up, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny has a Rotten Tomatoes rating. Rotten Tomatoes rating. Yeah, not great. 50%. Critics are split. Yeah. By the way, can I just say, Rotten Tomatoes? It's always a trigger for me because people just don't understand like how Rotten Tomatoes works. I've seen this. Like people will look at this and they'll be like, "Oh, the critics are always wrong." Blah 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 blah. Look at the critics being wrong here, and it's like, do you not realize what a 50% Rotten Tomatoes rating means? It means that half of the critics dislike it and half of the critics like it. So what critics are you talking about? Like, it's just such a weird thing that people just don't understand how Rotten Tomatoes works. But either way, that's just a tangent that I'm going on. Listen, I'm not an Indiana Jones fan. I'm about to lose the respect that you don't even have for me by saying that I've never watched any of the first 3 Indiana Jones movies. I've only seen Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it was because like I was at we were at like a family friend's house and they just started playing Indiana Jones 4, and so I was just there and so I watched it. But I have never voluntarily watched an Indiana Jones movie. Don't worry, I will watch them all before the Dial of Destiny or whatever comes out. But yeah, I mean this score isn't promising. But we'll see. I guess either way, we probably shouldn't expect to be like, oh my gosh, this movie's amazing and stuff. Probably shouldn't expect that. So yeah, whatever. Who cares? I don't. Next story. The CW is yeeting the Arrowverse from existence. Hold on. Let me actually restart my camera real quick. All right, we're good. Let's see. Where should we start reading here? I think from here, right? Okay, yep, here we go. Per the Hollywood Reporter, the CW's current entertainment president, Brad Schwartz, noted that while DC heroes have previously flourished on the network in the past, Nexstar, who recently bought the CW, I believe, from Warner Brothers, if I'm not mistaken, I have no idea, wants to take the programming in a different direction. When asked about the future of Superman and Lois, one of the 2 superhero shows still airing on the CW, the other being Gotham Knights, Schwartz responded that the business is changing rapidly. They were the hallmarks of the CW for a long time, the president said. As we look forward and try to make this network bigger and profitable, frankly, as much as we all love those shows and they had their time, they're not working on linear. See, does he say anything else? Network president Dennis Miller explained the new direction was largely in response to audiences moving further into the streaming market. The young adult audience is not making an appointment with broadcast today, Miller said, pointing to examples like Euphoria and Stranger Things as examples of the types of shows drawing in the demographic. That audience has abandoned broadcast, hence the opportunity we have to broaden the audience. So, yeah, I mean, they just came out and explicitly said that, yep, the CW DC shows are no more. And I have to say, I feel like we kind of have to put some respect on the CW DC shows. Like, don't get me wrong, I fell off of off of them. I want to say like during like Arrow season 4 and like the Flash, or no, Arrow. I would say Arrow season 5 and like the Flash was in season 3. And I think there was like Supergirl and Black Lightning and Legends of Tomorrow and all those shows. Around that time, like I kind of fell off. But I mean, listen, the CW, they did what the DCEU was not able to do. They actually managed to make like a coherent cinematic universe that crossed over and had big events and whatever. And it's like they did the thing, like what the MCU managed to do. They did it before the DCEU was able to do it. And maybe the DCU, I mean, the DCEU never did it. Maybe the DCU will do it, but the CW will always have done it first. Now, I think the quality kind of fell off, right? Because, yeah, I remember the main reason why I fell off was because there were so many shows, and they just weren't very good. And so I was both overwhelmed and underwhelmed all at the same time. So I eventually had to drop off. But you know what, man? I have a ton of great memories of Arrow and The Flash. So you know, I'll always have fond memories of those shows, and I'll always think of like the CW DC era fondly. But I think that the president, when you look at his quote, I think he's right. I think he's right that like audiences just, or like younger audiences just aren't really into broadcast stuff anymore. Like they are probably more on streaming, you know, watching Stranger Things and whatnot. So I think it makes business sense. I also have to wonder if like would these shows have survived anyways? Like I'm trying to think like would the CW have been able to make DC shows anyways? Because I would imagine that James Gunn and as a part of their new DCU initiative, probably wouldn't have wanted these shows to continue anyways, right? Because he wants to make them more like event series on HBO Max. Or I'm sorry, Max. The new remember HBO Max is no more. They changed the name to just Max because that makes a lot of sense. And it doesn't. So yeah, like I have to wonder like would these shows have even gone on anyways? I don't know. Either way, they're done. And rest in peace, Greg Berlanti. I don't think he's dead. But next story. All right, so we got a rumor here. So apparently, what's her name? Layla El Faouli / Scarlet Scarab. Apparently, Marvel has big plans for her or whatever. So this is, we'll start reading here. The rumor comes via Deadline. It cites Hollywood buzz surrounding Mawi's future. I'm sorry, future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with industry insiders apparently convinced that Marvel Studios is gearing up for the return of both Layla El Faouli and her superpowered alter ego. It's worth noting that Marvel Studios is yet to comment on what plans, if any, it has for the Scarlet Scarab character post Moon Knight, which means this rumor should be treated as pure speculation for now. Yeah, so interesting. I mean, this is something that wasn't like the point of the Deadline article that they're citing. Like Deadline didn't write an article being like Mia Calloway, she's or like Layla Al Fowley is getting her own solo movie and blah blah blah. And she's gonna be the lead of Avengers: Secret Wars. Like they didn't say anything like that. Like I think let me I guess I should probably just pull up the article. Yeah, like it's just kind of an article about the Gladiator sequel cast, and yeah, and apparently it was sort of just thrown in there somewhere that the character is gonna have a big future with Marvel and the MCU. So I don't know, I like the character, so like I'd be down to see her again. So yeah, we'll see what she pops up in next. Yeah, like we don't actually know if there's gonna be a Moon Knight season 2. I feel like this is a character that would probably make sense to be in like, I don't know, like Captain America 4 or something like that. I mean, they're already filming it, and they haven't said anything about her being in it, but yeah, you know, like she could probably show up in like some kind of like Earth-based movie if if Captain America 4 is about like politics and foreign affairs or whatever. I don't know. I honestly, I guess I don't really have a good idea because I don't even know that she would be involved with that necessarily. But whatever. Leave me alone. Next story. Last story, actually. Apparently, James Gunn is going to cut back on responding to stuff. So he tweeted this. I'm getting barraged with bullshit DC rumors this morning. I'll just reiterate the general rule not to believe anything unless it comes from me or Peter. But unless it's especially egregious, I'm going to slow down on calling shit out. Sorry, I know it's one of my favorite traditions. There are 3 reasons for this. 1, some people are making up lies to get attention from me or to get clicks, and I don't want to encourage that. 2, I've read 100 rumors this morning. One of them is half true, so I don't want to be used as a way for people to throw nonsense at the wall until something sticks. 3, I'm storyboarding Superman Legacy and don't have time. Have a great day. So, yeah, I mean, listen, we've all been saying that James should probably get off of Twitter. Like, he's probably on it a bit too much. But I'm not gonna lie, it was really fun having James just like quote tweet articles and being like wrong, like just like knocking down the basketball when they try to get it in the hoop. It was really fun to see like the CEO of a major studio just blatantly debunking stuff. But I mean, it makes sense, right? I think he is right that it is going to encourage people to just make stuff up, hoping to get attention from him. And it's also not necessarily great. I feel like it's just generally not a good idea for a CEO to be arguing with people on Twitter. It's like he should probably be like above that, probably. But okay. By the way, I have to say, so he says that he's storyboarding Superman Legacy. He keeps on making tweets about Superman Legacy, and like including a little mermaid guy. Like, what's the deal with this? This is weird, right? Why does he keep on including a little mermaid guy? I feel like he's teasing some kind of Aquaman connection with Superman Legacy. Like, I'm looking at these tweets, and it's getting to the point that I'm kind of just walking in with the assumption that that Aquaman is going to be in the movie. I don't know if that's a good assumption to make or if it will actually end up coming to fruition, but that's my game theory for the day. Aquaman will be in Superman Legacy. But we won't be able to find out the answer for that until 2025 when it releases. We'll probably know earlier if he is in it. But either way, let me know what you think about that theory and any of the stories that we talked about today. I don't have anything else to say for my outro. This was a terrible show. I feel like I'm just not on my game today. But you know what? It is what it is. It's live.